Forgive me, I'm just waking up and I'm cold brewing some coffee. Some of the instant coffee here. This is a good one. Has a little bit of ginseng in it. Right there, see? Before I forget the name, I'm here in Kydrell, which isn't like a super far stretch from where I started yesterday. But I was hit with a pretty bad storm last night, so I didn't get any sleep because where I was hanging, which I'll show you all that stuff later, where I was hanging under this thing, hang on a second. I guess I should have done this all before, but I just woke up a little while ago, so it was like my alarm didn't go off and all this. So anyway, the storm came in and hit us really hard, and although I chose to sleep under one of these and not really on the beach, which was a smart decision, I'm just the beach is not that far from me, like a block over that way, 2 blocks maybe at most. I'm actually on the river. There's like a little 90-degree bend, and then there's a small 1-lane bridge that goes over the river here. And I chose to actually take this site, which is great because that storm was really bad. If the rain was coming down super hard and the wind was whipping it up to the point where it wasn't even safe under this thing. So if you look, I'll show you kind of while I'm doing this. So this is the spot I actually chose to hang my hammock last night, which is nice. It's right by the cell tower right here. Let's see. I'm gonna get on this side. I know it probably pixelate a little while I'm walking around, but it's by the cell tower here. That's pretty well. Good morning, Flea. Ali, everyone in the chat room. AZ. So I had to reposition it. Right now, this is more in the center, but if you're going to see down below, this is all puddling because this whole thing was soaked except for this small little corner over here, which 2 of us was actually hiding under. But I originally, even right here wasn't really safe because the water right there, I'm on the river, the wind was coming from this direction. So not only were we getting it from the sky, you know, blowing the rain in, but I think we were getting like a sea breeze mist effect off the river when the rain was coming down and agitating the water and causing droplets to come up in the air. The wind was blowing that right towards us. So this filled up with water, like pulled up with water. Everything got completely wet. The clothes that I'm actually wearing, actually this and this one was the ones I was originally tied off to. So I wanted to kind of, you know, keep most of this open for other people like fishermen in the morning and stuff that might come in. So I originally tied off to there, and they're thinking that was plenty enough of an overhang, and it's not like it's super high. You see, I can actually touch it. So I figured that was enough room to keep me dry, and I was wrong because the wind was just too strong and it blew just within minutes. I mean, I couldn't even take I didn't have enough time to even take down my hammock and everything. And obviously, since I have like a roof, I'm not doing the tarp, right? So I didn't have my tarp up because, it's like, unless the roof is super high, I won't put up the tarp. And that should have been good enough. The roof is a good big roof, you know. So that should have been, hang on. That should have been big enough to actually keep me dry, but it didn't. So all my dry, clean clothes and stuff like that were soaked. So all last night I was soaking wet. I couldn't really sleep in this for a while because it was just completely soaked. So I used my little ground mat right here. It's kind of just a ground covering. Kind of sat on it over in the dry corner over there. But eventually I climbed into my hammock and fell asleep. But I was cold enough I had to break out the emergency blanket for myself. So that came in use. I do carry around an emergency blanket too. A little bit better quality one. But I do have one. They pack down very small, and you don't really need to use them unless you start getting really cold. Usually my raincoat works, so being up all night and being kind of wet and miserable also gave me a cold. So right now I feel something. Basically, I'm going to probably get sick here in the next day or two. See, so I'm not trying to ham it up for the TV, but I say the TV. I come from the TV generation, so if you notice my vocabulary, I don't think it's really changed much. So like videotape obviously comes from the VHS eras, even saying filming, we don't really use, hey, are you filming that? We don't use film anymore, it's like, but we have the same language. It didn't really, not all of the language has changed. But anyway, yeah, so terrible night, I had the best location too, because I would not have wanted to be in on that water at all. I mean, on the ocean, there's some great spots I could have actually put up the hammock, but it was just really busy over there. Great street food, lots of people, and someone mentioned something about that Muslims don't swim, and it's not that they don't swim. They swim a lot here, man. It's just they're very modest in their dress appeals. So they usually wear. It's just modesty, right? So it's a modesty thing. So they swim a lot. They just, it looks like they're wearing their winter clothes when they're swimming. They have the full pants, and everybody's wearing the shirts, even the guys. Some of the younger kids aren't wearing shirts, but like the surfers, there's a lot of surfers around here. So the surfers are usually the younger kids not wearing shirts, but they're not a big group of them. And so it's a busy beach. It's a nice beach. The northern side is where I'm at. So the northern side's a lot more local, where the the whole area is local. But the southern side is the busier, like where all the street vendors are, and they're the more of the attraction. I'm up north where the street vendor food kind of chills out, is not as much, and there's a lot of these everywhere, little gazebos. This is one of the biggest ones over by the cell tower. So anyway, guys, that's just a catch up of what happened to me last night. I did, like I said, I did go ahead and pull out the camera and film out the last little bit, and I haven't put that video together at all yet. I didn't want to edit last night. I couldn't edit. When I started to, that's when the storm hit. So it was like, okay, what am I missing here? I'm sorry, guys. I just had to blab and catch you up on what happened. Glad you're okay and safe. Yes, I'm good. KL rained this morning too. Yeah, so it was like a super heavy rain, and it was one of those who just, And then there was a guy I was with under, like, he had to pull over with his bike, and so it was me and him. And I was like, oh, great. I got locked up with a crazy guy because he's over here talking to himself the whole time. What I didn't notice was, I think he was talking on his phone. I just didn't see his phone. So I thought he was just like blabbing away to himself. I'm like, oh, great, a crazy guy, right? So, but I think it was just he was talking on the phone, probably trying to get someone to come pick him up, you know what I say? Because this rain was relentless. But yeah, I was surprised. This thing should have held that rain back. But like I said, I really honestly think a lot of that must have been sea breeze. That sea breeze that comes in, like when the wind blows across the sea and droplets and you get hit with like a mist. I think a lot of that was just a heavy mist coming in from the river here. But this had a, yeah, so actually, this, so I went up and down this. I left Relive running, right? Relive is because I like having that little cut at the end. I don't think as many people access my um, uh, I don't think as many people access my Strava, but those are for the nerds that want a little more information on which routes I'm taking. I think it's good to, be able to have a Strava one. I know like Doug or something. Now I'd be curious to find out how many of you guys actually check up on my Strava or even my Google. Now, my favorite by far is Google. That's because I do that one for myself. I go back and check on those all the time. It kind of keeps me in up to date on which day it is and all that stuff. Um, so that I need to put one folder though that has all my travels in it. So I need to link up all the folders to one folder and just put it down as world travel or something. But yeah, this had the best vibe, you might say. I thought it, and this is like a brand new, I mean, fairly new structure, very clean here. So, uh, that is why it's more okay. Oh, sorry. It looks like a good campsite. Too bad the rain has got you. This is Flea actually saying. I see you dropped a pin south of your location in Kaijo. South, yeah, Kaijo. Well, I mean, the main location is south of me. I probably call that more the commercial because of the street vendors. Good food though. So I went from here, went over and got something to eat there, and came back over here. Then I set up camp. And like I said, right now I'm set up in the middle. I'm taking up this whole thing, but I wasn't originally. I was kind of over on the corner with enough coverage, but also leaving up open the rest of it for you know uh, not being that dumb greedy American taking over. I'm saying taking over everything, laying as a fat ass on like every inch of the beach. But yeah, I know it's so. Yeah, this one just had a cool vibe, so I chose this one. But yeah, I got wiped out. So what does that mean? That means I'm gonna, since I didn't sleep at all last night. I didn't. It just because one, it's hard to sleep with wet clothes. I mean, I passed out a little bit right there towards the end. That's why my alarm didn't wake me up, or it wasn't set or something. I don't know. I probably slept through it. I had my earplugs in. But yeah, so I'm probably going to reposition my hammock where I'm not taking up so much of this back to where it was, and then didn't take a nap. And let everything kind of dry out because all my clothes, um, the clothes I'm wearing are drier than, yeah. This really got soaked last night, and yeah, I think everything did. Yeah, everything's soaked, so yeah, I don't feel like putting on wet clothes right now. But yeah, it's nice little surroundings. Other than that, let's see what else is new. Um, Nothing new. It's like these things happen. Like comparably, last night was not the worst night I've had. Um, so like just being like a traveling vagabond, you've got to expect these things because this lifestyle will take you up to the point of actually dying, and it will. Um, there's people that die a lot, just dumb mistakes like it's getting cold and it's becoming winter time and they throw too many tarps over their tent and they don't leave any oxygen, and then they suffocate themselves. And suffocation, happens without you knowing it because you don't realize it. It's you know carbon monoxide poisoning just sneaks up on you. Get tired, but you're already tired, so you don't know because you're already tired, and you start to get tired, and you just kind of go to sleep and you don't wake up. That was a common thing. Freezing to death, that's another one. Like hyperthermia and all this stuff, and that's the worst one because that's the one that is usually weather related. So, like, once everything gets to the freezing level, everything dries out. So, once it gets above freezing or below freezing, you know what I'm saying? Below freezing, everything dries out and it becomes safe, right? But there's a level right there at the freezing level where everything is cold, but it's still wet. And that's usually the time the wind likes to whip up stuff. So, it's like a combination of being wet, cold, and miserable. But that's why there was a trick that I learned. Actually, I learned it from a kind of like a movie that was about homeless people, where the homeless person was crumpling up paper and sticking it in his jacket, and he was winterizing his clothing, and that's an actual real thing. And you can learn this through other homeless people. But I think I saw that way early. It was the Saint of something. It had Danny Glover, and it was like one of the homeless people, and Danny Glover was the old hat at being homeless, and he was teaching this younger, new homeless person how to survive for the winter that was coming up in the city and stuff. And he was taking the phone books and tearing out the page, crumpling it up. They were like in Social Security office or something. And he's like, and sticking in his. And he's like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "I'm winterizing my clothing." And that's a thing. So I remember thinking, well, you know what? We used to. So when we started a fire when I was a kid. Let me see real quick. Uh, so anyway, as a kid, we used to crumple up paper to start a fire, like ball it up, but we also used to shred it, and you got really fast at shredding it. You're like, and that ignites the fire to just get the kindling go, the smaller stuff going, which gets the bigger stuff going. Um, so I started just shredding the paper. I was like, well, I'll just shred it up and stick it in there, and then when the homeless people were like, no, no, after he saw that I had shredded paper or I was repacking my clothing, and it works really good. What it does, it puts a layer on you, but it also, it from what I found out, the old guy's like, you can't shred it. He's like, you got to crumple it because it causes a dead airspace. So what a dead airspace is, it's between, it's actually anywhere. It's a space between layers. So, like, if you have your body, your skin, and then you have your clothing, the more room that's in between, the more warm air can get trapped in there, right? And it holds a lot longer than if it was like just your clothing straight up against your skin. Then there's no dead air, so you were just warming up the fabric, and then the heat from the fabric's just escaping. So the crumpled up paper causes a dead airspace, but the old timer says no. That's not the trick though. Is like the trick is to keep your wet clothing off your body so that you don't go into hyperthermia. He's like. He's like, that's where you go into hyperthermia is when your clothing gets wet and it's right against your body and it brings down your body temperature. So with the crumpled up paper, it keeps the clothing off your body, carries that dead airspace between your skin and the clothing, and you stay warm that way. I was like, ah. I mean, it was just, I mean, go, but I was still young back then and learning all these things. So it was like, yeah, it's good to get schooled by some of the other homeless people. It's like when you go into, it's like, especially when it comes to survival in the cold, you need these knowledgeable things, these knowledge from some people. That's why it's good to have a camp dog and befriend the homeless people. When you first get into a town that you don't know, you go up to whoever's sitting having a beer at the tables, unless you're in a dangerous town, maybe not do that, a city or something, but you shouldn't be in cities. You should be in towns. Um, find the home bums of that area or the travelers or the other vagabonds and find out where the soup kitchen is, find out where you can get a hot meal. Don't ask what the camping situation's like. Ask about the cops. The cops are the biggest things. How is camping, and where can I get a hot meal? And those are the three main things that you need to learn first from the person. But then just sit, and that's where drinking was such a part of the social dynamic of being a homeless traveler, is because now it's like, it's like having a cup of tea with someone. You sit and you have a beer with someone, and you talk about, how is this place first? Hey, this and that, and they'll usually give you the best knowledge first, and then go into war stories and stories about the travels and the trains and the different places they've been and the situations, and then it gets into fun time afterwards. Um, but and that's why alcohol and beer and is that kind of that bonding agent between all the vagabonds and the hobos and stuff. So cold brew coffee, it works. Um, so that's one thing I lack now, is because I gave up the alcohol, so I don't have that link anymore. And I became a heavy drinker because of me being a recluse, me being a very shy person, and very awkward around other people. And what alcohol I discovered at a very young age, like 16, well, I mean, 16, not like super young, but around 16, uh, I learned that alcohol got rid of that. And I was no longer awkward around girls and awkward, and it was something, and it was rebellious, because I was underage. But the fact is I just started using that as a tool as like a social coping mechanism, and it wasn't good, especially when I moved to Vegas, because then I became reliant on it, because that is like people are in your face. You have like seven people sitting at a blackjack table, only like 2 feet away from you, and you're constantly, socializing with each one individually, and all these things are going on around you and stuff. And that's when you find out if you have social anxieties or not. That's how I found out. No, I don't. Not. I don't like this. So, but I had to go there and do that to find out that I didn't. That world wasn't for me, and I got good at that world too. I'm not saying I didn't. I was a really good crap stealer, and I was really good. Pit boss and shift manager. So I mean, I could run a casino really good, and I could deal the hell out of craps, blackjack, all of them. But so I got really good at my job. I just realized, nah, this ain't for me. This is what I chose to do. It was a choice to be a vagabond, but also one I'm pretty well made. I mean, I started off in this life at pretty hard at 17. So that's I got the years to show it. Anyway, guys, I'm blabbing on. There's a little bit of a story. Um, uh, so you managed to watch my latest video. Okay, yeah. So Felice said something. It says, I managed to watch your latest video vlog before going to bed, and it is good to pause and reflect. I hope that you have found your bearings again. Yeah, and so what he's talking about, if you haven't watched yesterday's video, it was just about trying to do a reset. Now, I'm not saying my early stuff was popular at all. If you look at those videos, it just got a few hundred hits and stuff. So it was like this channel has never blew up like some of them, like homeless Kiwi in London. Go check his channel out. I mentioned him. He blew up real fast, and there's a vagabond that actually, it's like, yeah, cool. But it made me realize simplicity, is a thing, as an aspect too. And so what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get away from the mindset of, creation, creator, editing, and get more into the mindset of travel and just filming it. Um, but it's going to be kind of hard to do, because I'm a perfectionist when it comes out a lot of things. So I want to have the higher quality and stuff like this. So I'm gonna try and do a reset, but find a middle ground. Like I was telling CS the other day, I like to keep in the letterings of everything. So But I think I can pretty well learned if I pull out the camera, start filming something, drop a pin on Google Maps, keep it in the temp file, and that's the place I know I need to letter in my video. So I go look for that real quick, but stop trying to figure out what sections I need to cut out or something. I don't really cut out anything, unless the video goes completely out of frame. Like I had to cut out like a 3 minute section of me talking about something I don't know, because the whole video was just it had my head completely cut off. That's because I'm trying to film it from a distance, right? So I put the camera over here, and you can't see that small little screen on the DJI. I thought I was in camera, but no, I wasn't. It was just from my body down. So I was like, that was one of the few cases I decided to go ahead and edit that out. But yeah, so but also I'm not going to worry too much about like going to trying to hit all the touristy places and stuff just because it's good on video and stuff. And these are all things. I mean, I still do those anyway. I mean, if I'm around a spot and it's free, I'm gonna go check it out, right? Um, but get back to like who is authentic me. So it's a what do you say? It's a recentering, and the authentic me is the person that's traveling and camping and doing the cheap hostels when I can find them. Hey, SA, thank you. He just gave me a 15 ringgits super chat, or I don't know if that's called a super chat or what it's called, but you're only the second one. I'll give you a like on that one. Everybody else can give you a like too. Thank you, brother. Um, so I know that still works. But so anyway, guys, yeah, that's me. I'm probably gonna get sick here in the last day, but what I'm gonna do is, yeah, this thing's kind of wet still. My corner's kind of wet. You see, the thing is they don't pitch these because this is just a slab. So these when it gets wet, because they don't think it's gonna get wet. Like sidewalks and everything are usually pitched. So, but these aren't. So when it gets wet, it puddles up, and I'm kind of like in the dry spot in the center. So, um, that's awesome. So that comes out to 15. I think it's 358 after they're cut. Um, and thank you so much for that, brother. What else? How about weed and marijuana also age 16? Yeah. Oh, yeah. So Ali wants to know about weed and marijuana at age 16. Yeah, that comes with the alcohol because it's all part of the same rebellion. And since my parents were hippies, right? So I didn't grow up with hippie family. I grew up with a Christian-based family. My dad, read the Bible. We didn't go to church a lot just because we were so far from church. And the only reason we went to church is because we were in a small town. And my little league, the coach, my little leagues, our pastor, and you know how it is. The pastor always, hey, why aren't you coming to church and all this stuff, right? Because the head count in a town is so small, right? I think we're probably like maybe over 300, right? There's probably like 600 scattered out through the sticks and stuff, but we were in the sticks, and it was a long drive. First off, it cost gas, and so my dad just preferred not going to church. I guess he didn't like church anyway because he ended up in a cult, not like mine, which was mine is just kind of cult by definition, but not like a dangerous cult that I was in. Just by definition, it would have been kind of like it would have been a cult. His was a cult, they started out very friendly and accepting for hippies to come on in, but then it was like cut your hair and you should start dressing nice and you should be marrying this person and stuff, very controlling. And when my dad started up a business, he started up a furniture business. My dad was a very good I worked construction my whole life with him since I was in diapers, and that's true. I learned how to push a hot mop when I was like old enough to push a hot mop. Before that, I was a gopher. Go for this tool, go for that tool, to learn the tools, right? But every tool had a nickname, so I never learned the proper name of a hammer is a hammer, but it was like an angle grinder was a peanut grinder because the parts of the rebar that you cut off The smaller pieces look like peanuts, so it's called a peanut grinder. So I knew it by a peanut grinder the whole time. They're like, "Hey, grab me an angle grinder." I'm like, "What's an angle grinder?" Or the wireless drills. They were all called just Makitas. Grab a Makita because Makita was a popular brand back then. But when my dad was young and in this church, he started his furniture business, and he's a young married and married and just having his. I think I was the second one on the way or something, and it took off. So he was handmade furniture, beautiful furniture, but places started coming in like Sears and stuff like this, and Sears and Roebuck and all this, and I don't know who was coming in and wanting to order, furniture, but my dad was hands making this stuff, so it was like it wasn't production, and but they wanted big orders. Well, then it was like the mafia kind of came in, right? And they're like, "Oh yeah, we buy you all the equipment. We'll buy you all the equipment. You just keep doing you, right? And you get the business, and we just want a percentage of your business, after it gets rolling." And my dad was iffy about that because he knew that they were, mafia type. I mean, he didn't know them by name, but he got the idea, the way they were dressed, and and everything, that they were, let's say, not fully legitimate businessmen, but they were. So my dad had all his members that worked for him, though, right, were from the church, and the business was taking off. My dad was looking at early retirement and all this stuff. He's finally got something that's gonna pay. Probably put his kids through college and all this stuff, right? And I'm just coming along the way. I'm not even born yet. And the church freaked out. And the church thought it was getting too big too quick and thought it might have been of the devil, right? And yanked out everybody out of the business because it was all church members that were um, it was all members working there, and basically said, no, it's not of God, right? And so my dad's being told his business is not of God. So it's like, to continue with his business would be like a flat slap in the face of the church, and this was a church that he dedicated his life to. He considered family and all this stuff, and they all kind of shunned him, like, no, we can't be part of that business and stuff, and you need to quit that business. So my dad ended up that his business got tanked, and now he's looking at, well, the church just tanked my business. Now I don't have work, I can't feed my family, and stuff like this, and all the people that were surrounded him also kind of like, just shunned him, because it wasn't that his business was bad, it was the fact that they freaked out because it was getting too big too fast, and they weren't sure what to do about it, so they thought it was of the devil. And so, yeah, so my dad just couldn't, he couldn't recover from that, and that he couldn't, because all his hopes and dreams were smashed in like a minute by the church. So he didn't like going to church. His thing was, there was no fire in the church. He's like, if I can ever find a church that was really lively on the inside, I'll go back to church. But until then, I'm just going to read the Bible and teach my kids about God myself. So that's how my upbringing was. So it's Christian based upbringing. And what was that ramble for? I don't remember what that was. Oh yeah. So anyway, my dad didn't show his hippie roots, Ali, at all. But we all had parents that had hippie roots. So when it came to marijuana, even though marijuana was illegal, so was alcohol. We were underage. It wasn't frowned upon as much as it was back in my grandparents' days. Um, so it wasn't like reefer madness. It wasn't like reefer madness. My is more understandable. So most parents usually hid their pot smoking from their kids and stuff. My dad just quit altogether when we got, he didn't want us to see him, so he once in a while had a beer, but he really was very adamant about not exposing any of that to any of us. Um, so I didn't even realize he was a hippie until I was 16, but I started like drinking with him around at an early age because he got tired of picking me up from the police department. And the police said, next time it's a fine. And my dad's like, I can't afford a $300 fine. So you're going to stay at home where I can watch you, and you're not going to leave if you start drinking. And that's how I ended up becoming drinking friends with my dad. Is the fact is I'd be like, hey, Dad, I want a beer. And he's like, okay, I'll go get a beer. And then he'd sit and have a beer with me. And that's when I started really learning and connecting with my father, which was weird because that was one of those thresholds. If you cross that with your kid, it's going to change your relationship with your friend. You're going to go from the father figure more to a friend figure, and with that, you have to change the dynamics of your relationship a little bit. But the kid has to, which I do. I fully love and respected my father, so that never changed. He was still my father. He's still authoritative. It's just my ideas of him changed because I always thought of him really as the Christian-based father. And I realized, oh no, he has a past too. I mean, religion is something he came into, from his hippie past. And so yeah, so something like marijuana was acceptable enough and freely available enough. So the introduction of alcohol with my friends came the introduction of weed. So those always were side by side, and even LSD. But LSD was just one of those things that popped in once in a while, like, hey, I got some. Oh, cool, let's do it. But just the hippie drugs. We didn't have anything like meth and meth. I mean, and you know, uh, heroin and all. Those weren't popular drugs, and thank God they weren't popular drugs. Those were junkie drugs. That's something you did when you were a junkie. The other ones were acceptable in America. So, hope that answered that question. Yeah, no, I like the. So it says, thank you for. Nick actually said, thank you for visiting the East Coast. Most people are more friendly. You never know unless you experience it yourself. The East Coast is more, yeah, I would say like local oriented, more camping, more open areas, lots of smaller towns, and really hidden, beautiful spots. So I'm really much enjoying it. Where on the other side, you have pretty well the bigger cities like KL and stuff, Georgetown and stuff like this. But that I'd say more touristy on the West Coast. So there's a big difference, and I think both of them have their beauty. I wouldn't want to see the East Coast actually become like the West Coast. I like the East Coast because it's got beautiful beaches and it's got lots of friendly camping areas. And the locals are cool. Yeah, the locals are really cool everywhere I've gone. So, and street food's really good too. So, I'd probably say more street food on this side. So less restaurants, more free street food. Where on the West Coast, it's more restaurant-based foods. So yeah, so there's a big contrast difference, and yeah, the East Coast is awesome. So I'm enjoying it, but it's a lot smaller. So that's why I'm going through it so fast, is because it's not as big as the. So uh, yeah, so Flea says the East Coast is more laid back. Definitely. West Coast is more commercial. Yeah, definitely. And something that surprised me here in Malaysia is malls. A mall is a thing. People actually go to malls. And coming from the West, all our malls just died out. I mean, malls were something in the 90s. In the 2000s maybe. Uh, but after that, it's just they kind of just died out as places to go and hang out and do shopping. I mean, we were really all commercialized a lot during, well, like Madonna's days and stuff like that. Almost all the movies were based in malls, right? All the teenage movies start in a mall, and it was like, but so it's kind of crazy coming over here and seeing that the malls are still thriving, and not just one. There's usually several malls in each city, and it was like, so that was something to get used to. I think we've gone more digital online. I'm not saying that's healthy at all, but I think a lot of us are, especially since COVID, gotten so used to ordering stuff and just having it delivered. Because I know, like one person I talked to, he lives up in the mountains, right? He has a membership to Walmart that since COVID, they took out all their lanes, right? Like all the and put in self checkouts. You're like, well, they just got rid of all the cashiers. No, they didn't, because now the cashiers are doing all the grocery shopping for everybody that's actually doing the online. So it's just they switched jobs. So they went from cashiers to shoppers. So now you just in the app you put everything you want, because Walmart has everything from clothing, cooking utensils to actually food, and then you can just go pick it up yourself, or you can, if you have the platinum membership or whatever, which is almost nothing, you can get them on deals, like coupon deals where it almost costs you nothing. They deliver it to your house. So I know some people only shop once in a while, and they have them deliver it all the way out to the middle of nowhere for them. And yeah, so and for the price of the membership, they're scoring big time that way, because they're ways out there. So let's see. CS I think just said something. Yeah. So CS, your malls are good. Uh, Amazon has a strong presence because they're one of. Unfortunately, they're one of those jobs that pay decent enough but requires so much out of you, it makes it a bad job. But it's an easy job to get in their warehouses, because they're just like everywhere. I mean, absolutely everywhere. When you can order something online and it says, yeah, it'll be there in an hour, you know what I'm saying? You can have them same day delivery through Walmart or through Amazon. That shows you how many Amazon spots are in the United States. And then they have drone delivery, which I still don't know if drone delivery will fully take off as a thing. I don't see how it's cost efficient. The drone delivery has to be so close. I looked at one of those drones for the DJI agricultural department. So yeah, they make DJI makes the big ones for spraying the fields and stuff. I met someone that was actually, it's on my video, was out there testing them. They don't. I mean, they don't go super far. So I mean, so I don't see how drone delivery is really a possible thing unless it's very close. But if it's that close, you could just have someone deliver it by hand. You know what I'm saying? So, uh, Kota Baru soon. Okay, Nick, it's your hometown. Okay, what I'll do is Kota Baru. Nick, I'll go ahead and drop a pin and a note on that area to try and remind me to announce when I'll be getting there and stuff. And also open the Google Maps. In the description of my video, there's something that says read my Google Maps journal. Click on that, and that'll be up to date of my present location. And when I get to my new location, I always drop a pin, and you can constantly check that and see my progress from where I'm at. And it's kind of cool. If you put it in satellite view, you'll actually see the structure I'm in right now and stuff like that, and my location. I chose this just because it's a little more private. Okay, guys, we're at 43 minutes. I went over a little bit, but I rambled. Um, yeah, so I'm going to hang around here for a little bit. If these ants are going for something of mine, let's see if you guys pick those up. Yeah, my camera's not too bad. They're all around me. I don't know what they're after, or they're just trying to stay out of the water. They haven't bitten me yet. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and let's see. Let me double check here. Yeah, AliExpress. Now, I'm not going to talk crap about AliExpress because they got some of the cheapest prices around, but I didn't use it a lot. I know the app got very popular. Um, uh, okay, Kota Baru is the state north of. Oh yeah, yeah, that's the last spot I'll be. Yeah, Kota Baru would be the actually last spot I'll be before I head over across country, across the mountainside to get back over to the west coast to go see Ali over there. So anyway, yeah. So yeah, I'm with you, CS. You say you have all three accounts. However, I still prefer to walk to the mall. Yeah, it's nice to have a mall. Honestly, it's kind of nice. I mean, I dislike them because I dislike shopping, but if you throw like if you throw like some of these malls here actually have bundle stores, in which I found out bundle just means used. So some of them are expensive. Anytime they try and throw vintage on the title, like one bundle store here is called the Bundle or something. It says vintage clothing. Well, now they're just vintage clothing means expensive, and they want to get their good prices, but they have a good 10 ringgit section too and stuff. So I'm a fan for the used goods, secondhand clothing, and those seem to be pretty popular in the malls too. So that for me that makes walking into the mall worth it. And other than that, I'm going to find a stand. So something I noticed that the homeless Kiwi in London was doing was he just doing most of his stuff from just a phone stand, like a tripod phone stand. And his videos seem pretty good about getting the right height and stuff like that. Instead of just otherwise you get this video of me laying my phone on everything. This thing right here, pretty well useless. I mean, it doesn't work on the handlebars good because of the jumping effect. I might be able to film with my phone because that's got the software. Might be able to correct it. I should try that. Um, but it doesn't work for my DJI. So I'm thinking about purchasing something just because I'm going to be live streaming from this. The DJI is not worth doing a live stream. Plus the quality is not real good because of the connection on the DJI. So if I can get just a tripod type, like I don't know. So that'll probably be my next purchase, just to increase the quality of my live streams. So that'll be one of my ticket items. But it's like I got to keep up appearances. I got to keep this pretty face looking good for all y'all. Just joking, guys. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and end it. Anything I'm missing, guys? Tell me now. Otherwise, I just built my new computer from parts bought on AliExpress. The price difference with low yacht shipping was, yeah. Uh, Tell me how that computer. I'm assuming you're building a gaming computer, right? Tell me how that turns out with parts off of AliExpress. I'm kind of curious how I like budget builds. I mean, I used to watch videos on budget builds. Um, so yeah, that sounds interesting, Fleet. Keep me up to date over there on the Telegram board. How that goes. My favorite pastime is watching Hobo and Doug. That's why I built a new computer. I'm pretty sure you could watch us on a phone too. There, Flea. You don't need a computer. Okay, guys, I'm gonna end it. It's 58 minutes. Went on a little long. So, bye bye, y'all, and yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow. All right, bye.